Welcome to Revenge Report. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Let's dive in. The champagne hadn't even finished bubbling in the flutes when the screaming started. 1 second, we were all trapped in that overpriced dream of a wedding. Chandeliers blinding, string quartet droning through Canon in D. And the next, the doors burst open, and federal agents poured in like a damn SWAT team. Some woman in heels went down hard near the cake table. A waiter dropped his tray. Half the room froze, the other half bolted. Nobody knew where to look until they saw her. Vanessa. On the marble floor, veil half twisted, mouth open in shock, lipstick smudged across her cheek like a slash. She wasn't crying. Not yet. Just staring dead at me, screaming my name like I'd betrayed her. Lisa. Lisa, what the hell is happening? People around her stepped back, like she was contagious. Her dress, all ivory and hand-beaded, looked ridiculous now, crumpled on the ground like a prom reject. Roman was nowhere in sight, probably halfway to the emergency exit. I didn't look for him. My eyes were on her. She kept yelling, screeching, really. Why are they here? What did you do? Lisa, say something. I didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there in my tailored navy suit, hair pulled back, shoes flat, badge hidden under my jacket. Everyone always called me the plain one, the boring one, the one who'd never quite fit in. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. She clawed at the floor trying to stand. Her heel broke off. I watched her scramble on hands and knees, sobbing now, mascara streaking down her face. I took one step forward, just one, and finally spoke, calm and flat like I was reading her sentence off a clipboard. My name is Lisa Carpenter. I'm 36 years old, detective, organized crime division, Atlanta, PD. She blinked. What? I kept going, loud enough for the photographers to catch every word. You remember me. Your sister, the one you never invited to your photo shoots, the one you called just a cop while you bragged about designer deals. Someone gasped. I think it was Mom. I didn't look. Vanessa shook her head like she could rewind the day if she just disagreed hard enough. You ruined everything. I didn't answer, because the truth was, this wasn't ruin. This was justice. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't the forgotten one standing in her shadow. I was the reason the lights finally came on. I turned toward the lead agent at the door and nodded once. Let's finish it. The sound of Vanessa's screams was still ringing in my ears as the agents moved in, but my feet stayed planted, solid. I didn't blink, because that moment, it didn't start here. It started in Arizona. Red dirt, blistering heat, and a family that acted like I was furniture unless something needed fixing. Vanessa was the star, always had been. Prom queen junior and senior year, local commercials, pageant tiaras lining her dresser. Mom once drove her 4 hours just for a modeling callback where she ended up being runner-up to a girl who'd done Vogue. Meanwhile, I was organizing my science fair medals in a shoebox no one asked about. I was 12 when I figured it out. Being smart didn't matter in our house. Pretty did. Flashy did. Vanessa could walk into the kitchen and get a standing ovation for brushing her hair. I came in once with a ribbon from state debate finals and got told to move. You're blocking the TV. By high school, I stopped trying. Not to succeed, I still crushed it in school, joined track, nailed the SATs, but I stopped trying to impress them. They weren't looking at me anyway. Thanksgiving was the worst, always has been. There was one year, I was maybe 28, I had just made detective, finally. Years of grunt work, night shifts, dead ends. I walked in, sat down at the table with my badge in my purse, waiting for a moment to say it. I opened my mouth, and I swear I got out. So I got promoted. Before Dad cut me off with, Vanessa, how was that shoot in LA? Just like that. No pause. Like I wasn't even there. She launched into some story about a stylist who flew in from Milan and called her a natural. Everyone hung on every word, even my cousin who usually stayed buried in his phone. And me? I sat there with cold stuffing and a knot in my chest that tasted like burnt pride. Later, when I tried again, my mom just laughed and said, Lisa's like one of the boys, but Vanessa? That girl's going places, going places. That phrase haunted me for years. I went places too. The academy, the force, drug busts, stings. I saved lives. But to them, it was just a job in a uniform. Something people did when they didn't have the looks for TV. I learned to shut up about promotions. Learned that proud of you wasn't in their vocabulary when it came to me, so I built my own world. Quiet, focused, steel under pressure. I didn't need to be their golden girl. I just needed to be damn good at what I did. Let Vanessa have the stage. I was busy building the ground she danced on, and she didn't even notice until it cracked. The next time I saw Vanessa, she was floating across a rooftop in Scottsdale like she owned the damn sky. A live band played Coldplay covers, while servers passed mini lobster rolls on porcelain trays. Every corner of that engagement party screamed money. And not just regular money, tech money. New, loud, and globally untouchable. Roman Kirov stood beside her in a navy suit with no tie, Rolex glinting every time he raised his glass. Vanessa had her arm looped through his like she'd been born for that position. Honestly, she probably had. The second I heard his name, my stomach twisted. Roman Kirov, CEO of Systex Logics, a logistics company that popped up in 3 open files on my desk. Nothing hard enough to press charges, but enough to raise red flags. Ghost shipments, odd customs delays, and too many ties to Shell Corps in Miami and Eastern Europe. I showed up to that party because skipping it would have set off alarm bells, but I didn't belong there, and I knew it the second I stepped onto that rooftop in a $90 dress from Macy's. They had a champagne tower, a literal tower, with a monogrammed ice sculpture melting in the center of it all. I found the far edge of the patio and parked myself near a hedge. Vanessa spotted me and waved, then turned back to someone I recognized, Denny D'Angelo, a real estate developer with 3 LLCs flagged in a laundering case 2 years back. There were more. I counted at least 5 guests from that world, not the ones who pull triggers, the ones who shuffle money until you can't trace where it started. And Roman? His smile never reached his eyes. He'd flash teeth, pat backs, laugh at the right volume, but the second someone looked away, his face would go blank. My parents were eating it up. "Can you believe this?" Mom whispered like we were in a cathedral. Vanessa snagged herself a genius. Built his own company before 35, Dad added. "Makes you wonder how she's still single now, huh?" He nudged me, laughing. I forced a smile. "Guess I'm just too busy chasing gang members." He chuckled like it was a joke. "You should find yourself a real man, Lisa. Someone like Roman. You'd be set for life." Right? Set. With a guy whose name showed up in 3 DEA briefings. I drained my glass and muttered, "Excuse me?" I stepped around a group of influencers taking selfies near the fire pit and made my way to the edge of the terrace. The city stretched out below, glittering. I leaned on the railing, breathing slow, calming that itch in the back of my skull that screamed something wasn't right. Roman looked clean, polished, harmless. That's how these guys stayed rich. They let other people do the dirty work, then sipped champagne while it laundered itself in corporate disguise. Vanessa had no clue, or didn't care. Maybe she never asked where the money came from. She just liked the way it looked wrapped around her finger. I was still thinking about that party 2 nights later when the phone rang. It was close to midnight, and I almost didn't answer. But when I saw Mom on the screen, I picked up. Habit, muscle memory. Her voice came through tight and sugary. "Lisa, sweetheart. You busy?" I was at my kitchen table, laptop open, files spread out. I'd just flagged a new shell corp tied to Roman's platform, one that funneled invoices through Panama, then vanished. "Not really," I said. "What's up?" She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath. "Listen, I wanted to talk to you before things got hectic. The wedding's in less than 3 weeks, and, well, your sister's worked so hard. This is her dream." "Lisa, I didn't say anything." She went on. "Just, please don't stir things up. Don't bring your work to the wedding. I know your job's important, but this day isn't about that. It's about family." I stared at the screen. Shell firms, false bills, dirty freight routes. 28 million laundered through legit packages, logged by companies that didn't even exist on paper 3 years ago. I wasn't planning to say anything, I muttered. "Good," she said quickly. "Just smile for the cameras, wear something nice, and support your sister." You know how people look up to her? I clenched the phone tighter. That tone, that same soft-edged command I'd heard since I was 10. Shrink down, stay quiet, don't overshadow, don't challenge. Don't embarrass the family by being the one who sees too much. "She's lucky to have a sister like you," Mom added. "You've always been so dependable." Dependable? like a damn dish towel. I could have told her everything right then. That Roman's company was dirty, that I had names, accounts, records, that the engagement wasn't just a bad idea, it was a legal nightmare waiting to explode. But the second I pictured her face, tight smile, dismissive eyes, I knew what she'd say. Lisa, don't be dramatic. Lisa, that sounds like a misunderstanding. Lisa, don't ruin this. I swallowed it down, same way I always had. Let the words rot right there in the back of my throat. Sure, I said flat. I'll be there. Oh, honey, thank you? She sounded relieved. You're doing the right thing. I ended the call before she could say more. Then I sat there in silence, the hum of the fridge loud in my ear, my jaw locked. This wasn't just another family slight. This wasn't about Vanessa stealing the spotlight or mom pretending I didn't exist. This was about a criminal empire hiding under designer cufflinks and catered brunches, and nobody wanted to see it. Fine. If they didn't want the truth, I'd take it somewhere it would matter. I closed the files, pulled out my work phone, and texted my supervisor 4 words, requesting full task force briefing. By 9 the next morning, I was walking into a federal building in downtown Atlanta with a folder under my arm and a case no one else could pull off. 3rd floor, closed-door task force briefing. FBI, DHS, IRS, every 3-letter badge in the room. My supervisor, Captain Jordan, nodded at me from the end of the table, but he looked tense, like he already knew this was going to be messy. I didn't waste time. I dropped the folder on the table, opened it, and started laying out names. Roman Kirov, I said, founder of Systex Logics. On paper, it's a legit logistics platform. Beneath it, a cover for international money laundering. Shell firms, fake invoices, rerouted shipping manifests. I've traced over 28 million in movement tied to drug cartel profits. No one blinked, so I kept going. I have access. Personal access. I'm the bride's sister. That got a reaction. One of the DHS guys, Laredo, I think, raised an eyebrow. Your family? Unfortunately, I said. That wedding is crawling with players. Kirov's guest list includes 6 persons of interest from 3 active federal investigations. They're flying in product, cleaning it through shipping partners tied to Systex. This wedding's their victory lap. Jordan leaned forward. Lisa, you're talking about staging a live operation at your sister's wedding. That's personal as hell. It's a one-shot opportunity, I said sharp. We'll never get this lineup of people in one place again. I know the layout, the security, the vendors. Hell, I helped pick the venue. He hesitated. You really think you can stay neutral? I locked eyes with him. I don't need to be neutral. I need to be right. The room went quiet for a beat. Then I slid a second set of documents across the table, encrypted comms, flagged bank records, and one specific manifest coded with a Russian phrase used in narco shipments, Black Orchid. They passed it around. Laredo flipped through the pages. Someone from the IRS muttered under his breath. Jesus. Jordan finally nodded. All right. What do you need from us? I laid it out clean. Discreet on-site personnel. Wireless surveillance. Arrest teams in formal wear. Positioned inside and outside the club. I'll wear a listening device. I'll feed you the final code phrase when I confirm Roman's active contact. And the bride? Laredo asked. She in on it? I shook my head. She'll be too busy glowing. There was a long pause. Jordan tapped a pen on the table, then looked up. Codename? I didn't blink. Sugar Bride. He let out a breath. All right. Operation Sugar Bride is greenlit. I didn't smile, just nodded once. I walked out of that room with the weight shifted. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't the background noise. I wasn't the forgotten daughter or the awkward sister in sensible heels. I was the center, and this time, no one would look away. By the next morning, I was back in the role. Not Detective Carpenter, not Task Force Liaison, just Lisa, the dependable sister, the +1 nobody watched too closely. Vanessa had me booked solid. Dress fittings, wine tastings, centerpiece walkthroughs, brunch menus, and endless venue visits. She talked nonstop. I smiled and nodded like I cared about napkin textures while mentally mapping exits, noting camera angles and logging which vendors had access to which rooms. At the bridal boutique, she twirled in front of the mirror. Can you believe this train? Roman says it looks like something out of Vogue. I watched the floor-length fabric drag across the tile. No escape routes in that thing. I can believe it, I said. It's a lot of dress. She laughed. God, Lisa, don't go full detective on me. Try to enjoy this, I already was. That day, I clocked 2 new names on the RSVP list, both tied to accounts flagged for bulk cash deposits out of Tampa. I memorized them while Vanessa debated peony versus ranunculus for the 10th time. At the wine tasting, I counted 6 doors in the event space, 2 with no security cameras, 1 leading straight to the loading dock. While she clinked glasses with the wedding planner, I made a mental note to flag the kitchen staff for background checks. Vanessa Kirov has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? She said, swirling a glass of Chardonnay. Sure does, I muttered, eyes on a guest list the planner left half covered by a clipboard. She reached across the table. Lisa, I have to say, you're really showing up for me. I didn't expect that. You're my sister. That was the only truth I offered. She smiled wide. I know I can be a bit much, but Roman said it. You're sharp. The real kind. He thinks you've got the spy thing down. I raised my glass. Here's to blending in. A week before the wedding, a courier dropped a package at my apartment. Small velvet box. Inside, a silver bracelet with a floral design. Embedded inside the rose-shaped charm, a listening device synced straight to the surveillance van that would park near the venue. Clean signal, good range, minimal interference. I wore it to the final seating chart meeting. Vanessa barely glanced at it. Oh, look at you, finally accessorizing. I rolled my wrist. Figured I'd try something new. She was bent over the guest list, scribbling initials next to table numbers. See? She said without looking up. You're finally acting like a real sister. I smiled. Not quite. Charleston looked like a damn magazine spread that afternoon. The Coastal Club sat on a hill above the ocean, white stucco walls glowing in the sun, trimmed hedges clipped within an inch of their lives. Valets in tuxes opened doors like they were handling royalty. Inside, everything smelled like roses and old money. Vanessa floated through it all like she was born for this moment. Her gown shimmered like liquid pearl under the chandeliers. Hair curled soft, crown low and delicate, every step rehearsed. Cameras flashed every time she turned. People clapped like she'd done something more than say yes to a man with a fat offshore account. I kept to the edge of the room, same as always. Different outfit, same position. Only this time, I wasn't watching the bride. I was watching the network. Roman stood near the bar with a group of men, all suits, all smiles. And I knew 3 of them by name from case files. 1 moved money through ghost firms in Nevada. 1 ran customs manipulation in New Jersey. The 3rd? Tied to weapons flagged in a Honduran shipment 6 months back. Roman was right at home, laughing, one hand in his pocket, the other swirling a glass of bourbon. His watch cost more than my first car. I pressed my thumb against the bracelet. Just once, a test. The vibration came back soft. Channel was open. Vanessa passed by with her bridesmaids, trailing laughter like perfume. She spotted me and looped around, her veil trailing behind her like smoke. Well, look at you, she grinned, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear, blending in with the decor like a real pro. I didn't answer. She tilted her head. Still playing detective in that little job of yours? What is it now? Busting car thieves and chasing weed dealers? That hit deeper than it should have. I felt it low, like a gut punch I'd gotten too used to. All the years of being talked down to like my work didn't matter. Like keeping people safe was somehow less impressive than fitting into a sample-sized dress. She didn't wait for a response. Just smiled, patted my arm like a teacher congratulating a B student, and walked off. I took a breath. In, out, focus. Then Roman approached. He slid next to me like we were old friends. I didn't turn, just kept my eyes on the floor-length windows ahead. He leaned in close and muttered low under his breath. Chornea orchidea. Black orchid. The phrase matched one of our active shipment tags, the one tied to a cargo run headed for Miami in 4 days. It was the final confirmation. The last puzzle piece. I didn't flinch. I casually reached up, adjusted the bracelet, and murmured the 2 words into the mic. Black orchid. I stepped away from him and made my way toward the dessert table, eyes locked on the champagne tower. The signal was live. The storm was coming. The string quartet had just started playing something soft and slow. Roman was raising his glass, flashing that smug, picture-perfect smile, about to toast to forever. And then the room cracked open. The double doors slammed inward, hard. Shouts ripped through the air. Black suits poured in. FBI jackets, DHS armbands, weapons drawn but low, smooth, and efficient like clockwork. A woman screamed. Someone dropped a tray. Crystal shattered near the bar. Gasps froze the whole ballroom. Roman's smile didn't even have time to drop before he was tackled from the side. He hit the floor mid-sentence, face first, glass still in his hand, bourbon spilling across the white carpet like blood. Federal agents! Nobody move! Guests scattered like birds. Heels snapped. Chairs toppled. A photographer tried to run and got shoved against the wall by a stocky agent with a grim face and no patience. Roman struggled, twisted, tried to say something in Russian. Too late. They had his arms wrenched back, wrists cuffed, knees in his back. Vanessa let out a scream so raw it cut through the chaos. Roman? I didn't move. I stood beside the dessert table, watching it all play out exactly like we'd planned it. My bracelet was still warm against my skin. Roman's business partner, the one in the gray Armani suit, made a break for the side door. He didn't get far. Two plainclothes agents pinned him to the floor near the cake, cracking one of the decorative pillars on the way down. Clear this area! One of the DJs ducked behind the table. The music finally cut off mid-beat, and the silence that followed made everything louder. The shouts, the cuffs clicking, the glass crunching under boots. Vanessa stood frozen in the middle of it all. Mascara streaked down her cheeks, eyes wide, bouquet trembling in her hands. Her lips were moving, but no words were coming out. She looked like a child who'd just realized the magic show was rigged. Then she saw me, and her whole face twisted. "Lisa!" she shrieked. "What is this? What's happening?" She stumbled forward, veil dragging behind her, shoes catching on the broken glass. A centerpiece tipped. She tripped over it and went down hard, palms slapping into the floor. "Lisa!" she sobbed. "This isn't real. Tell them it's a mistake." I didn't say a word. A lead agent walked past her and nodded at me. "Detective Carpenter." Loud, clear, final. My mother's hands were over her mouth. My father looked like someone had slapped him. Their expressions, full of pride just minutes ago, were now pale and empty, staring straight at me like they didn't know who I was. They didn't. Vanessa crawled through the mess, tulle ripping, voice cracking. "Lisa, please, please." He didn't do anything. Just talk to me. Her fingers clawed into the shattered remains of a floral arch. She was sobbing now, makeup running like paint in the rain, her fantasy collapsing piece by piece all around her. I stood still, didn't flinch, didn't offer a hand, didn't explain, because this wasn't some family spat. This wasn't jealousy or spite or some tired rivalry. This was justice. And I had delivered it, stone cold. 6 months later, I was sitting in my office on the 11th floor, looking out over Atlanta's hazy skyline, coffee going cold beside my elbow. I was in charge now, task force commander, interagency unit focused on organized financial crimes, Homeland, DEA, IRS, and local PD under one roof. Real work, real outcomes. And for once in my life, no one was trying to make me smaller. My team respected me, not because of who I was related to, because of what I'd done. "Carpenter," Agent Diaz called through my open door. "We got a red flag on the Brussels transfer." Same Panama route. "Print it," I said, eyes still on the screen. "I'll brief in 20. My inbox pinged. I didn't look right away. Figured it was another logistics update or court doc dump. But then I saw the subject line. Please from Vanessa Carpenter Kairov. I stared at it for a second, not shocked, not angry, just still. I clicked. "Lisa, I didn't know. I swear I didn't. You blindsided me and ruined everything. And maybe I deserved it, maybe I didn't. I've replayed it 100 times. I wish you'd talk to me first. I miss you. Can we talk, please?" Same voice, same swirl of blame and apology, like sugar stirred into poison. I scrolled once, then again. Same script I'd grown up with. The teary plead underneath the accusation. There was no mention of the victims, no curiosity about what Roman really did. Just her world, cracking, and me expected to sweep the glass. I closed the email, didn't hit reply, just hovered for a second, then clicked delete. Not with rage, not with satisfaction, just done. Diaz knocked on the door frame. "Printer's jammed again." I stood, grabbed my file. "Then tell maintenance to stop buying the cheap stuff." He grinned. Yes, ma'am. I walked down the hall toward the briefing room, heels steady, head clear. The lights above buzzed faintly, the sound of printers spitting out pages filled the air, and I felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. Not because it was quiet, because I finally didn't need to explain who I was. That night, I stayed late at the office. Most of the team had already cleared out. The building was quiet, the kind of quiet that used to make me uneasy. Now, I liked it. I sat at my desk, the city lights flickering in the windows behind me, and thought about everything it took to get here. The years of swallowing words, of being told to tone it down, don't talk back, let your sister shine. The birthdays where I barely got a card while Vanessa had photographers. The holidays I spent on call because nobody noticed if I wasn't there. The quiet digs about my little job, and the way mom always introduced me as our other daughter. All of it. The shrinking, the silences, the way I learned to smile without joy. It didn't break me. It built me. I didn't need their applause. I had something better now. A team that listened when I spoke, a job that mattered, a name that stood on its own. I opened my laptop and clicked into a forum I'd bookmarked months ago, a space where women shared their wins, their clawed back confidence, their hardest earned moments. Most people posted anonymously. That felt right. I clicked New Post and started typing. Have you ever been the one they overlooked, only to prove them all wrong? Tell me about it, I hit submit. No grand speech, no dramatic sign off. Just that one question, floating into the feed like a flare in the dark. Then I leaned back in my chair, the hum of the AC steady behind me, and let myself breathe. Not because I won, but because I finally knew. I never needed their stage to matter.